Welcome into another New World video here on the MrJGilbert channel. And guys, oh my gosh, we have the New World Dev update for August 2022, and it is absolutely phenomenal. It's going to go over the Brimstone Sands area. It's going to go over the Greatsword and just a bunch of other quality of life changes that I am absolutely excited for. We're going to watch the video. We're going to talk about it a little bit throughout it, and we're going to get our thoughts on it. And oh my gosh, I couldn't wait. I'm sorry I cheated on you guys. I watched it already. I just couldn't wait. I was so excited for it to come out, especially with what they were talking about. But I definitely wanted to come on here and make a video for you guys so you could see it and so you guys can kind of talk about it with me and see what you think. So please, in the comments below, let me know what you think of the state of New World and what you think of all of the changes that will be coming in the autumn update. So without further ado, let's get into the update and let's see what we think.
Hi everyone, welcome to the August developer update.
Let's go, Scott. Let's go.
Things a little bit different. It's going to be a group of us talking through everything together. First, though, I want to introduce the other people at the table with me. So we have Dan Henhuber, who is our social experience lead.
Hi, Dan. Welcome in.
We have his partner in camouflage, Mike Willett, who is the world experience
legend.
Lead. And we have Katie, who's the lead producer.
Get after it. I like it.
So anyway.
Nailed it.
Got it.
All your life
is perfect.
Yell at her.
Before we start, though, I want to touch base on a quick update. The summer medley fair, we're going to actually run that until September 6th.
Yep, we already kind of know that.
You have a little
but
more
thanks
time
for that.
To get your modeling
Appreciate you.
Get up to the maestro and get all the good goodies there. Today, we're going to talk about the Brimstone Sands update that is coming in October. We're pretty excited about
guys.
this. It is a massive update.
Look at that.
We're going to do a little bit of a dive into territory.
I'm not going to lie, though. Like I hate to like start already, but like look at this.
About this. It is
Does this not just kind of give you like Assassin's Creed feel? Like for real? This is Assassin's Creed Odyssey right here, guys. Like, it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Look, you see the pyramid in the background. I love the Egyptian themed already. They're gonna talk about what this city is compared to the Egyptian part. Like, it's gonna make sense. But I'm getting real big Assassin's Creed Odyssey vibes.
A massive update. We're also going to do a little bit of a dive into
I like this. Changing all the cities around, making them each look different. Making them, oh my gosh, that's yes.
And then we're going to sign off. So without further ado, I'm going to start us with a dive into the upcoming update.
Please.
All right, we want to talk a little bit about the Brimstone update.
Yep.
We're not going to go too deep because in September we have some time reserved where we're going to really dive into that.
That's fair.
But at a high level, Mike, do you want to give an overview of Brimstone, which is the anchor for the release?
Sure thing, Scott. So some background on it and the lore. An old Egyptian kingdom basically arose thousands of years ago.
I love it. Egyptian already. I love it.
And they had this symbiotic relationship with the ancients. And along the way, there was a big falling out and a war that occurred. No details to share yet. You're going to have to wait until the next update.
Of course not.
But what happened is almost 1,000 years later, the Roman legion arrived. And they had some encounters with corruption. And that led to kind of the modern state where things are in disarray. And one of your old allies has now become a nemesis here on Aeternum. And so part of that story has to play out in this brand new, almost 3 zones worth of content, which is Brimstone Sands.
Is a big place.
It is
3 zones worth of content.
And new ancient artifacts and structures and brand new POIs and dozens of new enemies. It is an awesome place.
We want to leave some surprises.
And it looks beautiful so far.
Details, but there's some creatures there that are just like very
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, and it's just fun to have this massive, diverse zone to run around that looks nothing like anything in the game right now.
No.
We're really excited to share that with everybody. And I guess
I hope those people have new mechanics, right? So here's the thing. All of that looks beautiful so far. Like Brimstone Sands, the Egyptian things, the Roman things as well. Looks really beautiful. Okay. Visually appealing, 100%. It's going to be amazing. But I hope that there's new mechanics with those enemies, and it's not just reskinned people that we've already fought and same mechanics. Like fight differently. Like, show me a different fight. Make me challenge me a little bit when it comes to fighting them. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hanging out in this new zone with really tough enemies, you're going to need something to help you live there, right? A new weapon.
A new weapon. What's that one that players
Here we go.
About?
Sweat Gourd.
Sweat Gourd.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Greatsword. Totally
Jeez,
messed that up.
this guy.
No, I know it's
this
been
guy.
requested, and I've talked to the Daves about this at length, so some more teasers about it. It does scale evenly off of strength and dex, two-handed.
Listen to that. It scales evenly off of strength and dex. It's the first weapon in the game that equally scales off of two different things. Majority of all weapons have their main attribute that they scale on, and then a secondary attribute that it's like half scaled. You know what I'm saying? It's not as much, right? This greatsword is the first weapon that equally scales on two different ones, strength and dex. So the amount of builds that you could have with this is going to be insane.
Allows you to dance between basically the two trees. One is really offensive oriented, and it's called I think it's Onslaught.
I mean, it looks pretty quick in the attack.
You're sacrificing.
That's probably like the hammer slam
for damage. So you're gonna receive.
I mean, that looks pretty fast attack. I'm happy with that.
And there's an awesome give and play with that. And you're also gonna sacrifice more stamina in order to do heavier attacks much faster.
I was worried that it was gonna be a slow attack, so I'm happy that it's not.
Stance,
it looks fast.
Which is more defense oriented. Also can be used by tanks because it has
13,000. What the shit?
A lot of counter hit play. You're gonna do less damage, but you're gonna take less damage. And so there's a lot of things where you can block incoming attacks.
7,000.
The amount of attacks that you block
how's he hitting with?
Amount of time will unleash even more damage on the release. So
I love to hear that we are thinking about tanks when we talk about these trees.
Yeah,
I do like that. They're getting tank love, 100%.
Tank play and just how it gets incorporated into other people's builds. But
well, yeah, that's the key, I think, is you can pair it because it's dex and strength with so many of our weapons. It's gonna. Players are going to find things we never thought of as far as ways to use this. Again, it's a really exciting release.
Like, I'm excited to do like a greatsword bow build. You know what I mean? Where you still have the speed and movement of the bow, but if they get close to you, you're whipping that greatsword and just slapping them in the mouth. Like, that's going to be nice. The spear is good, but I think if you give players, because it looks like the greatsword has hammer capabilities with like stuns, right? If you give players the bow, the speed of the bow, they get close to you, and the abilities of the hammer, like, that's what people use in OPR. They're either hammer or bow the entire time, right? So you can combine both of those. That's going to be dangerous.
There's a lot.
There's probably more, but I'm going to save that for the next update because I'm sure the Daves really want to dive in.
We really got the important stuff out of the way, which is when that's going to be headed their way.
Yeah.
And is the greatsword included?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, and
Stop it.
Is there any other playable content included, like maybe an expedition that you want to talk about, Mike?
There is an expedition. So one of our latest expeditions, it goes along the story of the ancients in that relationship with the Romans and that Roman legion. And so it takes place in our giant pyramid known as the Ennead. Players are going to obviously group up and they're going to head for the Ennead expedition. And it's going to be unlike anything that you've played so far. Really cool visuals, brand new enemies, new mechanics. So we have like these sentry guards that actually roam some of the halls. So I'm really excited about it. All new loot. Can't wait for players.
Look at that armor set, dude. Oh,
we'll have a lot to show on this as we get closer to the release. And there's one more. Well, there's a bunch of more stuff, but there's one more we're going to talk about right now that we've kind of held as a secret until now. And we've heard a lot of feedback from players on our starting experience, how they wanted more variation in AI, more variation in the zone.
What?
Everything is different, especially more variation in questing. So we've revamped the first
new
levels of
it's not new areas, but like they're changing. Oh, look at that.
Share it with everyone and get people in to see it. Again, we're going to
kind of sucks. I'm already past this because I'm level 60. Like, oh my God, look at that. It kind of sucks that I'm level 60. So like, unless I do random like Marauder missions, because I'm in a Marauder faction, unless I do random missions there, Like, I don't know if I'm going to really see a lot of these, which sucks because they look amazing. And I'm glad they're doing this. And I'm pretty sure like new players coming back will see these types of, or new players not coming back, but new players coming to the game will see these areas and be like, oh, this is really cool. And it'll kind of draw them in even more. So I like that.
The goal is to get it out there. We think we've addressed like enough to make everyone think, wow, this is awesome.
That's a
Once we
Windsword.
start validating that with players, we're going to take those learnings and apply them all the way through the entire questing experience and leveling experience. And another thing, like this release is really big. There's a lot here. There's a lot of stuff we haven't even talked about yet, and we can't wait to get into. But it's exciting, which is why we're devoting a couple of dev updates to it. So with that, let's switch bases and talk about territory management just a little bit.
Territory management. Makes sense.
Dan, do you want to talk about like some of the big issues you've been hearing from players?
For sure, yeah. Since we've been live, it's been really cool to see how how these systems scale. Like, I mean, we've obviously done a lot of scale testing over the years, but nothing compared to what we've seen since we've launched. There's a lot that we want to do with it. I mean, we've heard feedback loud and clear from all different kinds of players.
Why is there a pistol up there? So this is all, New World stuff. Look, there's a pistol right there. Are pistols coming to the game? Chat? What do you guys think? Obviously the musket, you have the hatchet, pistol. Like, they're not just they're not just putting things in here to make them look cool for the background, all right? These are all things that are in the game. There's obviously Roman legions that are in here now, right? The bombs and stuff from like Barnacles of Black Powder. Freaking hatchet right there. A hatchet, jeez. There's freaking a handheld pistol right there. Are pistols coming to the game like dual pistols?
Taking a like short-term and long-term approach. In the short term, I think we mainly want to address three key issues, meaning the economic balancing issues that we've been hearing about, the shell companies, as we
yep,
we're all friends here. Like we all know that shell companies,
overpowered companies,
companies in order to kind of bypass certain things. We're going to address that. And then the third thing that we're going to address is help me out here. We just talked about it.
The crafters being left out.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Almost left him out of
See,
the
I have cheat. I have a note.
There's a lot to the territory mechanics, in all seriousness. So like, there's a lot of things we want to fix. Like I said, so those big three, we're gonna take action on.
That's good. That's good.
Releases. Our goals for them are basically for the economy. We're gonna do some things to kind of spread the money around. So like right now, Everfall and Windsword, I think everybody knows. Like those are the territories.
Windsword for sure, 100%.
The other ones are less important. So we wanted to address that.
I would say less important, but and here's the thing: it's not necessarily about the money. Like if you just look at the makeup of Windsword and Everfall, just the towns themselves, the makeup of all the crafting stations, they're literally right by each other. Like they just make the perfect sense for the most commonly trafficked areas. You look at towns like Restless Shore, Reekwater, like those towns are absolutely garbage to walk around in. It's stupid. Ebonscale Reach is also a little like frustrating, but Ebonscale Reach is just so beautiful that it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Morningdale, that's a pretty nice one, actually. Weaver's Fen's another one. Like, it's just the layouts of the town is what really makes them awful, I feel like. But Windsword is a central location, and everything's right next to each other. It just makes it super easy.
The runaway win condition of once you have those two territories, like you quickly just generate enough wealth to just be unstoppable.
That's because everybody uses them.
Yeah, that. We want to make it so that you can be competitive by owning like Reekwater or something like that.
Yeah, because everybody hates it.
That's coming soon. That's coming the soonest. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to address shell companies in a few ways. We've been talking to players a lot, reading their feedback and actually going back and forth. We're not going to do like a standard just company switching cooldown, but we're going to do something very similar to that, which hopefully won't if you join a company and you decide it's not for you, you'll still be able to leave. But what it will do is you'll have a cooldown on when you can join a war, and then we're going to combine that with a minimum requirement on defense. So where if you're defending your territory in a war, you're going to have
You have to have,
35
okay.
players.
That makes sense.
Well,
that makes sense.
Shouldn't have said the number because we don't know for sure.
Yeah, you let it slip, big guy.
Maybe as
you
many
let
as
it
50,
slip.
But the idea being that like if you're defending a territory, you have to have mostly your company defending it, combined with that switching cooldown is going to hopefully address the number one reason why people form those shell companies, which is to be able to like fight multiple wars in the same day.
So these changes, like what's our goal with them? Like, is it to be more fair? Is it so everybody's got a shot at taking part in this? I think that, you know, different players have different motives for wanting to join in on it, but most of them want to win and they want to feel like they're winning. So just like, what's our motivation for these particular changes?
Yeah,
because people have complained enough. Like, players have complained for months about things in this game that need to be changed. So now the devs are finally like, oh, I should probably do something about this. Okay, not to be like mean or anything. I do feel like the devs are doing a great job of listening to the players, like they're saying, and changing it. I just feel like their changes are just taking a long time. Like, I don't know if that's on purpose or if they're just a small company that can't make them fast enough. I don't know. But I do feel like they are listening to us. It's just taking a while for those changes to be implemented.
So we want to make it so that if you're a competitive company, you can still, you know, aspire to like a little empire that you're building.
Yeah.
But we don't want it to be possible for you to like the reason shell companies are bad is because it's obviously just a way to work around the limitation that the original system had built in, where like because your company has the same siege time every day for all the territories, that meant, you know, like, well, you can't fight in more than one war at the same time. So that was meant to be kind of a limiting device on the number of territories you can own. But obviously you can just defeat that by using shell companies. So we want to close that.
I think we want, I mean, at a high level, I think how we're thinking about it is we want to make it a fair environment, but still rewarding. However, not so rewarding that if you're not in this, you feel like you could never catch up and never get there, right?
Yeah.
It's owning territory is really cool and it should have some awesome rewards and be powerful, but not so much that you can just destroy everybody else, right?
Absolutely.
All this in a fair way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then with the crafting, I would add that on the crafting side, I think crafters who don't participate in the war and any of that stuff sometimes can get left out in the dark where, hey, I can't get access to a tier 5 station or this or that. So we want to make sure that they have opportunities to not be blocked by gameplay that they don't really participate in.
Yeah.
Other thing I just wanted to really quickly touch on, these changes are like, touch so many systems that we're taking our time with them because the last thing we want to do is like step in, change something and make something worse or break something.
That's good.
About these, there's a lot of moving pieces here.
And I like they're taking their time. I wonder if they're just saying that because like they're just physically working as fast as they can and they can't, you know, they just don't maybe have the manpower or something like that. But I mean, I do like they're taking their time. I do think New World is heading in the right direction. I think the autumn update is going to be, it has to be a make or break time for it. And I think it's going to be a make time. I think with this autumn update, it's really going to shed some light on the game. People are going to start talking about the game again. I think good things are going to happen with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything else we want to talk about on territory management?
No, I think we're moving in a good direction. As you said, Scott, it's going to be slow to get there because we want to be very methodical and meticulous with those changes.
Absolutely.
But I think that this is something that players have been asking for, and we're going to deliver. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to keep investing in the system.
A huge update coming up.
It's been awesome.
Wow.
Everybody having fun with them so far.
Awesome.
PTR Rollout
Shifting back
Plan.
to the Brimstone release. Katie, let's talk about the PTR Rollout Plan.
Sure. So for those not savvy to what PTR is, that's the public test realm. I know you were wondering, Willette. So I'm glad I explained it. So similar to what we saw with the Summer Medley Fair content, Barnacles and Black Powder, Group Finder, those all hit the PTR at different times. so that we could focus our scale testing on each of those.
Oh, of course.
We're going to continue that when it comes to the Brimstone Sands release. So we're not releasing
that makes
all of
sense.
the things that we just talked about at the same time.
Put one thing, test it. Put another thing, test it. Makes sense.
We're anticipating players will see on the PTR is that starting experience that you were talking
about. I like
Scott.
This. Yeah.
So that's the first.
Change the look of things. Make sure that's good to go, because that's mainly cosmetics, right? Nothing really too crazy with it. It's just mainly cosmetics. So test that out. Make sure it's good to go. Check that off your list. Move on to the next thing.
Thing that they're going to see.
And that looks good.
During that time too. So those are the two main things they're putting out there, along with the
Greatsword, 100%.
Of other changes that we put in this game that you can only find in the patch notes because we cannot recall them because we're not automatons. But then after players have had a time to help us scale test that, then we're going to introduce Brimstone Sands. So those will all be available on the PTR before.
Look at that. Oh, God. It's going to be so beautiful.
And we're introducing so much change and so much new stuff that we really need the community to get in there and help us test this.
Amen.
We're even adding a little more time than normal to have the PTR running, because we just want to make sure we find everything and have time to address it. Like, we're so excited about this release. We could really use as much help as possible testing and making sure it's not only bug-free, but fun, that we're hitting the right notes. I think is super important.
I think that's probably more important than the other bugs, which of course, like, we want to get their bug reports. But I think the thing when at least this first hits PTR, what we really want is, number one, the scale that we can't create on our own, which is individual players playing individually, not acting like bots, but going in and roughing up the build as they would normally, and then letting us know if it's fun. Is this something that you were excited to see this new content? Is this something that you have suggestions for us? Our community managers always put in those.
Is Brimstone Sands going to be controllable though?
Like mega threads.
Doesn't sound like it.
That's where you should put your sentiment. Put all the bug reporting, in-game feedback that goes into these models that parse it for us and put it in the right buckets for people. But if you want to give us feedback on, was this fun or not? Where do you think we could improve? What are we doing really well that you want us to double down on? It's the forums. That's the best place to let us know.
Yeah, and especially with the starting experience, because we've redone the quests, we've redone a lot of the story and lore. All the architecture you're going to see is
that looks good. Look at this. Look at that.
AI is different. So are we hitting the mark? Is it getting where you want it? And if so, please tell us that. But even more importantly is where we're missing, like Katie said. That's what we can action on the most. So that would be helpful.
Yeah. So join us in the PTR, everybody.
Yay!
This was a fun, different kind of approach to the day.
All right. Oh my gosh, guys. You need to let me know where you're at. Like, what is your thought process with New World, this update, what's coming up in the fall? Please let me know in the comments below. I am absolutely excited for it. The more I watch the second time I watched this video, and even the second time, even though I knew what was coming, I still look at this and I'm like, oh, that is going to look beautiful. Now, it doesn't come with the negatives, okay? Obviously, we have all the positive stuff. It's going to look good. There's going to be a bunch of different variety, a lot of changes, 100%. But with that, the bugs, this thing is going to be OP. When they change the territory control, is that going to ruin it? Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I feel like over the next month or so, it'll kind of get ironed out, hashed out. Some questions will be answered. Once it hits PTR, that'll really shed light on the direction it's going. And hopefully they listen to the players in time to be able to change it correctly to what the players want. You know what I'm saying? I might even participate in a public test run myself. Tried a little Greatsword, being able to look at the Brimstone Sands firsthand. It's going to be exciting, guys. So let me know in the comments below what you think of New World, what you think of the direction of it, where it's headed, and where it's at right now. So, appreciate you guys. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Truly appreciated. And we'll see you next time on the MrJGilbert channel for another New World video.